Taiwan's China Dilemma, Contested Identities and Multiple Interests in Taiwan's Cross-Strait Economic Policy. Taiwan's China Dilemma, in many ways, is an ironic description of Taiwan's very own dilemma. How does Taiwan define itself, let alone in relation to China? Thus, with or without any reference to China writ large, Taiwan itself is facing its own identity dilemma. However, beyond that, there are other issues at work. Is Taiwan an entity that has all the rights of a sovereign member state, or is Taiwan already one, albeit short of international recognition since the mid-1970s? These quibbles may seem tacky, indeed, impossibly taxing, yet they are there to haunt Taiwan forever. Not unless Taiwan and China can have a peaceful and non-adversarial relationship. Barring that, China will always be the main threat to Taiwan. More than 1,000 missiles, perhaps 2,000 of them, aimed at the island, producing what is essentially an existential threat, not just a clear and present danger. Yet, how does Taiwan coexist with a juggernaut that is increasingly assertive? During the tenure of President Xi Jinping of China, this military problem has become more and more acute. The insistence of one China is most interesting, yet a tragic misreading of China history. Why is this the case? This is because the dynastic history of ancient China has always had more than several dynasties coexisting in conflict or unison with one another. Thus, anyone who is familiar with ancient Chinese history will know that the normal China is, invariably, one based on the concurrent existence of several dynasties at the same time. The quest for one China without fail is but a quaint, if not a xenophobic, understanding of what Chinese civilization and history truly represent. Hence, when the Chinese Communist Party insists there is only one China, and Taiwan is a part of it, what it invites is not merely a rebuke from Taiwan intellectuals and politicians, but the renunciation of the Taiwanese masses too. Granted that Taiwan identity is in a conundrum, especially the delicate balance it has to maintain with China, addressing it wholesale requires a deft handling of two, potentially three, forms of scholarship: identity awareness of Taiwan, bread and butter issue of Taiwanese economics, especially its future relationship with China within this crucible. Along comes the exceptional narrative of Shirley Lin Syaru, by using various industries as a juxtaposition to the above issues, especially the acute pressures and incentives faced by the semiconductor industry to work closely with China to benefit from the lower labor cost in mainland. Based on her PhD dissertation in University of Hong Kong, Lin Syaru expertly weaved together a flawless explanation of the tugs and pulls of the Chinese economic political pressures, a process that incidentally began with her role as a volunteer translator to the Kuwang dialogue between Taiwan and mainland China in 1993, held in Singapore. Thus, the book achieves the status of an insider perspective from the beginning to the end, which is what makes it so outstanding. More importantly, it is a superb rendition of Taiwan's internal democratic politics. It is a democracy that has not merely withstood the challenge of China but the pandemic too. How then does Shirley Lin Syaru define Taiwanese identity struggle, though? Often this is done by looking at opinion polls, the responses of key corporate leaders, the policy dilemma of the Democratic Progressive Party (DPP) and Kuomintang Party, invariably, the aggressive tactics they employed to project themselves as more Taiwanese than the average Taiwanese. This effect is attained often by making speeches in Mananhua Taiwanese dialect, or lowering their identification with Mandarin as the only language of choice in Taiwan. But the complexity of Taiwanese identity, not unlike the immediate days of being replaced by China in the UN Security Council in 1971, is jerry-rigged multiple processes of global economic and political changes all occurring at one go. Taiwanese are confused, occasionally confounded by the disruptive changes of both processes, having achieved a high-income trap that does not appear to allow Taiwan to make any grand leaps forward. To be sure, what is the value of being a Taiwanese, if the very insistence of it is enough to cause the world to abandon Taiwan altogether, in order not to antagonize China? Alternatively, what is the benefit of deeper engagement with China, if more inroads could lead to a wholesale absorption into the belly of the beast? These are the questions that arise from Taiwan's rational calculations, as well as Taiwan's fear and insecurity which cannot be calculated. This book soldiered on and showed each facet of such dynamics. By using interviews and opinion polls, Shirley Lin Syaru made her methodology more rigorous and disciplined than all the books out there. Even if the actual politics in Taiwan is often a mess, as it occasioned by the brawls in parliament or the Sunflower Movement where the students tried to occupy the president's office. In sum, if anyone wants to get a grip of Taiwan, and by extension China, this is the book to get for good.